Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Seniorities. Our program to, we hope, provide information and different topics of interest to seniors and as well the community, we hope. I'm here again today with J.D. Miller on my far right, my co-host and the chairperson of the Council on Aging Board of Directors. And then also today with us, we're very pleased and
special guest.
Happy to have Mr. Frank Gay, who is the Executive Director of GATRA, the sort of ubiquitous label that I think has really become part of Scituate. The ultimate acronym, which I'm going to try to tackle myself, the Greater Attleboro Taunton Regional Transit Authority. So that is what GATRA stands for. I think it was an acronym before acronyms were a thing. I mean, now everything is.
But 74 was an acronym. So.
Unbelievable.
Long time ago.
But I do think, you know, around town, it's still a little bit of a mystery, no matter how many times we talk about it, of course, all the time through the Senior Center and the Council on Aging, but people do often ask, what is GATRA? So I just thought it was a good excuse to bring you in, hear it right from the horse's mouth, some of our, you know, questions and some of your answers. And just
glad to be here.
So GATRA is also responsible, in addition to funding and really assisting the Senior Center and the Council on Aging with our transportation services. They also, and that's been since 2012, they also operate and really provide Scituate with the newer public bus service, the Scituate Loop or Sloop, that many people do again see and hopefully use around town, which is available to everyone. I think, and that's been since 2015, June of 2015. Yeah. So I think that has been successful. Would you agree?
Yes, it's done very well.
We are happy with that.
And you know, we did do an expansion up into North Scituate.
Right.
And so that
was
has,
welcome.
and it has, you know, panned out in
January of this past year, I think, since then.
Yeah, it's just
so
been
really
almost a year ago. So,
very good. Well, I hope you don't mind. Could you maybe start by just telling us a little about what GATRA is really and what your role with the agency is?
I mean, clearly it's regional, right? Because Greater Attleboro is not Scituate.
Yeah.
So you're all over the place.
We are.
So, yeah, tell us.
I think we probably thought of ourselves as Greater Boston at one point, but.
Yeah, so tell us.
I think when, you know, when the legislature created the Regional Transit Authority program, it envisioned only 7 communities to be part of the original GATRA region.
Okay.
And now we have 28. So we've clearly grown way beyond what GATRA was going to be envisioned to be back in 1974. We do service, as I said, 28 communities, the 2 cities, Attleboro and Taunton, but then northern up along 495 up to Bellingham, Franklin area. To the east along Middleborough, Wareham, and then back north again up to Scituate. So, yeah, we do have a pretty expansive region of a lot of diverse communities too. I mean, I had to go to a meeting yesterday in Boston to talk about our program. You know, said that we're pretty unique because we have, you know, we have a lot of seaside communities, and tourism issues, and America's hometown in Plymouth.
Right.
A lot of bedroom communities on 495 that have access to commuter rail facilities, as well as this region does too. And then the two cities that are, you know, older, urban, industrial, in the downtown areas. So, you know, there is a big diversity of the communities that we serve.
How did that happen or evolve? How did GATRA become that?
There's provisions in the language for adjacent communities to join. So as we started to develop public transit services, I think other communities, you know, looked at that need and came into us. And then the Patrick administration made some other changes in legislation that enabled, from an economic point of view, the communities like Scituate and in the northern area, Bellingham, Franklin, to look at joining public transit regional systems as well. So that's how, you know, those are newer communities. Like Scituate was new back in 2012 or 11.
Right.
But I think, you know, there is definitely a need if you, you know, I mean, I know you're familiar with the senior issues. Transportation is always the #1 priority in a senior.
You're right, usually is.
And so, you know, so we are really trying to fill those voids and trying to provide some local transportation and regional as well, because, you know, healthcare has changed so much.
Right.
Used to be, you could just go to the local hospital, but now you gotta go, you know, pretty much everywhere and anywhere for
Right,
for
to
your
chase your
healthcare.
doctor that's in your network.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not
Yeah,
easy.
so it's definitely added a lot of
Mm-hmm.
transportation issues for people that
Yeah.
who are probably at that point in their life don't have those
Mm-hmm.
capabilities
Mhm.
to get to a doctor easily.
Right, I mean, there's the big picture, and then there are the details, yes. They
Yeah.
do very well. And so
So-
your role in promoting that, you work with the
Yes.
legislators?
We work,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, our office works with all the communities. I mean, the legislation was really a public-private partnership, I mean, a public-public partnership where the local communities really decide what kinds of services are going to be provided in the town.
Okay.
You know, whether it's the town selectmen or cities,
Mayor,
city
right.
councils,
Yep.
they really decide how much service and what kinds of service, and then we, you know, we are responsible to provide those.
That was
levels
actually one of my
service.
questions. Do all the communities receive the same types of services, but not
No.
necessarily?
No, they're all different.
And I mean, we had to go, in fact, it was our town administrator who has just left us, Patricia
Yep.
Fincasey, who came to you about the public transportation.
Yes. Yeah, she was, you know, a big proponent of trying to get that local, the sloop started, you know, and really felt it was necessary for the, you know, for the harbor front and for just people to get around
Right.
town, so.
Well, yeah, from
I
a
like
train
that.
station to a harbor.
It's a perfect model
shopping area
town.
to a North Scituate train station or shopping area. It's,
Yeah.
there's nothing, it's not a, yeah, it's all over, so.
Yeah, we have 11 commuter rail stations in our district. So we do a lot of shuttles of some of our fixed routes to
Mhm.
commuter rail. You know, that's another need that, you know, trying to get people to and from those,
Absolutely.
to that regional transportation system, so.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
It's a lot, and it's diverse. I mean, I think when we think about transportation now in Scituate, given that we provide what is needed, I don't think we really necessarily come up short in that for our seniors, but also to have filled that other sort of hole for public transportation.
Right, public.
It's really good. I think we can say we do transportation well, and that's really thanks
Yeah.
to GATRA and what you provide for us.
Yeah, yeah, we do, you know, we do have a contract with the town through the Council on Aging to run the services for seniors and people with disabilities. And I think the Council on Aging does an excellent job locally in
Busy
filling
job.
that need for us, so.
So can you explain a little bit for us how GATRA receives their funding, where that comes from, and how it's determined, what you then provide to the senior centers?
Yeah. We receive federal funding through the Department of Transportation and the Federal Transit Administration. That's for buying vehicles and doing capital projects, and some operating funds from the federal government to, you know, pay for driver salaries. So we operate both. The Commonwealth, through the MassDOT, we have a contract with that agency, and they provide operating and capital funding. Because usually the federal funds are about 80%.
Okay.
So we use the state funding for a 20% match to provide for buying buses for the needs. And then there's a local commitment, and again, this goes back to that partnership that the legislature envisioned when they created it, was that, you know, a town gets service, the town has to pay a percentage of that service. So there is a town commitment, and I think that helps everybody keep more focused on what we're doing and how much we're doing, because, you know, there is a town cost to run these.
So you mentioned 80 and 20, so where does the town of Scituate come in? What percentage would that be?
The town comes in on the operating side.
Yep.
So for us to operate, we usually get about a third of our funding for operations from the federal government, another third from the state and the town.
Okay, so it's sort of a third of the 20%.
No, it's different. There's capital, the capital's 80-20, and most of that's paid either from federal and state money.
Okay.
It's the operating side, to pay for drivers and dispatching. That's where it's a third, a third, a third.
Okay.
The town puts that share into its cherry sheet. So,
And that's how our budget that you determine, well, that's how you determine our budget, one that I use.
yeah.
Haven't gone over yet.
Well, you're a good steward of the public product.
Okay, thank you in that regard. Yeah, we try.
So we do, we do have, schedules that I think are out, hopefully around town about the sleep and, shows the map, and they're on our website, gatra.org.
We do get calls, and honestly, somebody might show up and just say, do you know what the schedule is? And we'll even just pull it up online for them,
Yeah.
print it out, take it with them, but we do have the brochures.
So, well, back up a little bit and just tell us what's been the evolution of GATRA in Scituate?
Well, again, I think the selectmen and
But also in
the
terms
former
of
town
services.
manager, yeah, I think, Tricia really felt that there was a need, especially during summertime, of getting people around town. And, she came to us. There was also the council on aging issue in providing more services for seniors and people with disabilities. But I think her real focus initially back in 2010 or 11 when we started talking, and with former selectman Joe Norton, because he was one of the actual spearheads of doing this as well. And I think his role of working with Rockland Trust, he saw what was going on in other communities and thought it was necessary to have something similar like that in Scituate. But so the two really came to us and said, we'd like to have GATRA look at options. We did a series of public meetings way back in the early 2011 and 12 to talk about the route, what the town's thoughts were, and really that's the evolution of how the sloop got started.
Had it been considered at all when the service had gone into Plymouth, Duxbury, Marshfield, Kingston, that whole route? Were they thinking of coming this far down then, or it just wasn't feasible?
No, we didn't. No, it was really, I think once we moved further north into Duxbury and Marshfield, I think that Scituate, saw it
Right.
more. And
Well, that's happening now with Norwell and Hanover and
yeah,
everybody.
yeah. My staff keeps telling me, don't go out, don't go.
Without needing.
You can't pick up more down. So, but I think our role is to provide a public transit option for people. I think our services are basic, lifeline service. It's not a bus is not running by downtown every 10 minutes. So it's not like being in Boston.
Right.
It's available and it's there for people that really need it.
Right.
It's not. It's probably not as convenient as what we would like it to be, but that's.
In other words, maybe more stops potentially, or
more service,
When you
longer hours.
I remember, I think back in 2011 or 12 when you were starting to lay this out. So when you started, how did that? What were you looking at in terms of its evolution, in terms of changing it, tweaking it, and eventually expanding it a little bit? Like what criteria were you looking at?
Well, we talked
ridership, hours.
We really talked locally with the Economic Development Group, with the Council on Aging, certainly the town planner, town manager. There was a cross section of both public and and some private people about what they thought the needs are in town, and then you got to match the need with what likely available for dollars.
Right.
There was a lot of going back and forth before we came up with a final route that the town thought that they would be willing to endorse and afford. Because at the end of the day, there is a cost, and the town has to weigh in on that cost. And we got to that, and then I think, as we operated it a year and a half ago, went back to the selectmen. Patricia was getting, definite requests for the North Scituate area to get service up there. We were able to rework some of the route to accommodate that, and I think that's how it benefited.
we heard that quite a bit, of course.
Yeah.
We are, and interestingly, it hasn't necessarily diminished any of the services that we have. I mean, in other words, our numbers haven't gone down ourselves. People who call the senior center for their rides, where it can be scheduled, they still have to call in advance, they make their schedule, they get their pickups, they go to their destinations. But on top of that, they like the idea that if they need to, they can grab the van or the bus as well. If I show up at the village market at 7:45 in the morning or 8 in the morning, they are there shopping and are waiting for the bus with their bags.
Right.
So it's definitely been useful in addition to what we do.
I mean, I think the scoop offers a little more convenience that they can go, you know, on their time frame. when they
Like
wanna
going
go.
on their time, it is hard to skip.
And it's, you know, it gives them a little more flexibility than the Council on Aging service. But,
Yeah.
you know, I think they both,
Yeah.
they complement each other because there are certainly a good number of individuals that probably can't use a regular bus day in and day out.
Yeah.
So,
Now, I know there's been some discussion about fees, and your fees are really kept low to make the service accessible, but how does that work? You know, all 28 communities have the same fees,
yeah.
try to keep that consistent.
Yeah. But we will be,
So what's the
looking at, right now, the scoop is $1.
Yeah. All of it down.
And actually, seniors are
50
50 cents, as
Yeah.
are students.
Okay.
50 cents for students, seniors, people with disabilities, people on Medicare, people with hospice.
Okay. So it's either 50 cents or $1 for a ride.
On the regular movement,
Yeah.
on the scoop.
On the slope, yeah. Okay.
Dial ride is $1.25.
Which is the service through us.
The service through the Council.
Mhm. It is, unless they buy the multiple ride passes, which really keeps it to $1, but we give them a ticket instead, and they get it punched each time they're on the bus, which is actually easier, because they don't need cash.
So you may have just been saying those numbers are going to be looked at again.
We had a board meeting last month, the end of last month, and talked about looking at raising the fares.
Yeah.
Because our fares are probably one of the lower ones in the state, so we will be, after the new year, probably advertising for hearings to talk about raising, both fares, probably for 25 cents or something like that.
Okay.
Here we finalize that.
Okay.
But that will be,
Under discussion.
yeah.
I get to go to the advisory board meetings as the representative from Scituate, so
Mhm.
each town does send somebody.
Mhm.
Often it is the council on aging director, not always, some of the town planners.
Costs are going up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and you did lead off with this, but transportation is so big today, and it is nice, I think, that it's worked its way from the cities, from the bigger cities into the suburbs, and where public transportation may not have existed before. It is a nice trend, especially for our population aging, but for all demographics, it is very nice. So do you often look at sort of the big picture, realizing what a necessary component it is to the communities?
Yeah, and I think, again, the regional transit systems are the ones that are outside of the Boston urbanized area. We feel we're the stepchild to the MBTA.
Yeah.
And we're not getting the funding that the MBTA brings in, and that they've received from the legislature in the past. So, there's a constant back and forth between us and our big partner to Boston.
Right.
So what their needs are and what our needs are. So, unfortunately, the legislature underfunded us this year. We were at 83 million, now we're down to 80. So some of the bigger authorities, Worcesters and Pioneer Valley area, have had to cut like $600,000-$700,000 in service. We're looking at almost $250 million in cutting of service coming next year. So and it's unfortunate at this point in time that that's happening, but the state resources are
Right.
State resources.
Yeah, they're cutting the budget.
So we're going to go back and advocate. And that's part of my role and my staff's role is to try to get that information out to our elected officials that there is life beyond Boston.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they don't see that. and sometimes
Absolutely.
they
There's
don't.
life in Scituate.
Yeah, there's life in Scituate and all these other communities. And I think that, they need, our communities need to have that option for people to have, to be able to get around locally. Be able to get to economic and go shopping and go to church or whatever they want to get to be able to do.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we do get those calls, and where we are not working on the weekends, oftentimes it is
Yeah.
relegated to the public system, so we try to see if we can get people where they want to go.
Yeah.
yeah, we did
So what are
a.
you doing in Scituate now? Like, what's the schedule now? Is Monday through Friday the same as, it's not, Monday through Friday is not the same as Saturdays and Sundays, correct?
Right,
Yeah.
different schedule on the weekends.
Yeah. And, the Council on Aging service is really only Mondays and Fridays, which,
Yeah.
that's a
It's
shortcoming.
normal.
Yeah, but it's, it's something that we would like to have that added flexibility to provide some service on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Right.
The sloop runs a regular Monday through Friday schedule and then a Saturday, Sunday reduced schedule.
Yes.
But it's, there is some options there.
So we start at 7:30 and go until when? 8:30, 9?
No,
6 o'clock.
6?
If
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
5:40. Yeah, 5:40 is the last trip.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
And do we know, I mean, we're clearly referring to a schedule. Where do people look to find a schedule?
They can come to the senior center. I think there's also schedules that I have dropped off at town hall. We
Okay.
can check and see whether we need to be replenished there, but
The
Supermarket.
Market,
village market, probably the
up in the
library.
north, yeah. Something with the
Mhm.
North Situate area.
Um,
You can get them on our website, go online.
And we can, it's probably on the town website too, right?
Yeah, I think we're linked with the town,
Right.
or the town's linked to
Okay.
us.
And for the council on aging as well. And we are lucky, of course, to have the services that are provided, especially for the disabled. So even through the senior center, under 60, just need to register with GATRA so that we are able to provide the services for scheduling, but they are also well accommodated by GATRA's public services as well, through the deviated route.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Well, but also, so Frank, am I right about this? Every loop, an entire loop is about an hour
Yeah.
in Scituate?
Yeah, just about.
When they increased the service, it went to an hour. I think
Yeah.
it was originally a 30-minute loop.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, right, okay. So when we increased
And
to
now
go to
it's a
North
bit
Scituate, it's
longer, yeah.
about an hour,
Yeah.
55 minutes, whatever, from stop to stop to stop.
Mhm.
So I was curious, you may be doing this, you may be not doing this, but do you tie some of the schedule to the commuter rails?
We try, but the
Because
issue-
commuter rails are weird times
It's a weird
too.
time schedule, so it makes it difficult. Our schedule is pretty much on an
Hourly basis, there are
So there's
a few in the morning and a few in the evening and very few during the middle of the day.
Yeah.
But I
So it
know-
fluctuates. I mean, we do go down, by Greenbush and, people, in our Scituate, so, stations, so people could do it, but, gotta kind of look at that.
You gotta make sure it works, right? Because that's very nice for people that are coming into, maybe they're a half a mile away from the North Scituate station, they can, if they could time it so they come in on a train and be able to pick up a sloop and get a ride home. But it's tough to
Of course,
sort
that
of,
schedule's not changing, so.
right, it's tough to make it all happen, but when it does happen for people,
Yeah.
it's really efficient,
It's a,
convenient.
yeah, it takes a while, like we've seen, and we provide a lot of service to, it really takes a while for somebody to make that transition.
Yeah.
Because, it is they're a creature of habit, that every day gotta
They
get
drive to
there,
the station
So
and
it takes a while
then
to
take
make
a
that
train, the
happen.
person's
Really?
driving to the station, or taking a sloop to the station, and then, yeah.
Mhm.
And I think as long as there's available parking, it makes it more difficult for them to take off, get out of the car, and get in the bus.
Yeah, oh, yeah, no, I
So
get it, I
It's
get
not one of, it takes a long time for that
it. To evolve.
to
Yeah,
evolve.
Yeah,
It's-
and change behavior, you're right.
But we've had cases where, I guess, especially in Attleboro, where we run a lot of service to the station, where people who've gotten rid of a second car, and they take the bus to the train station, and, you know, the other car stays home for the
Yeah, I think that's great.
So,
For the high school
well,
students.
the students,
Yeah.
So the stops in Scituate, what are the hubs in Scituate? Village Market,
yeah, down, you know, the waterfront, people by the council on aging.
Stops at the senior center.
okay?
Downtown, well, we said the harbor, CVS as well. I think, yes.
Yeah.
And then town hall serves
Up to town
the
hall.
high school as well because of the
Yeah, perfect.
campus
Perfect.
opportunity.
Yeah, Lincoln Park, Central Park,
Is it good?
the
So Central Park would help library,
Stops at Widows
North
Walk.
Situate, yeah.
okay?
I don't think that'll change for the winter.
No, I mean, we're not manually, you know, changes to the route per se, so.
So we get Widows Walk, we get Green Bush Station, we get CVS and the Council on Aging and Village Market and the Harbor. We get Central.
We'll go to the community building now too, because the library had been there and
Yeah.
people had wanted that added to the route. Now
Okay.
It's still, you know, it still swings through if anyone wanted to park there and
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
then take the bus.
And
We're not on the road where the new library was built.
We're not?
We're like the one street over, right?
Right.
Yeah, so we're not at the new library.
But, yeah.
Walking
if you're-
distance.
Right, right.
You can walk
Right.
to the library.
And you know, there's been
And then you swing up to
discussion.
North Situate
And you swing up to North Situate.
for that train, and to that train station. Any place else in North Situate for stops?
In the village, I mean, really, the bus will stop
Post
anywhere
office.
along the route, it's just a flag system.
Okay.
So anywhere along the sloop route, if a person gets out on the road, they can flag the bus down.
The-
So we
the-
don't have really set
Okay.
stops.
Okay.
We have some time points where, you know, you can gauge from there where you are to get on and off the bus.
Okay. So people
Try to
need to
make
know,
it
so
flexible.
if you need the sloop and you're on the sloop route, you can wave them down.
Yeah.
You don't need to be at a certain
need to be at a
location, you don't
certain
need to be at a
location.
certain bench. You can literally wave the driver down and he'll pull over and pick you up,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier
Yeah.
for individuals to use it. And until we really set the routes to be permanent, you know, there's a significant cost for us to put in bus stop signs. So, you know, we tend to not want to do bus stop signs only because, you know, there's a lot of cost of putting in signs and
Right.
maintaining the signs. And I think the flag system really makes it a lot more convenient for people who want to use the bus. So we've stayed, we do that throughout our entire fixed route system and throughout the day.
Well, it's interesting, as there's been talk of, you know, previously where potentially to put a new senior center and the 4 sites that were considered, and part of that was, well, is it on the public
Public
route?
transit,
Would that be
right.
an advantage to it being in that location? And I was always saying, well, the route will adapt
Yeah.
to what we need it to be because you have been flexible with regard to that. And
Yeah.
so ultimately, we were not worried about
Yeah.
where we were going, though where we are slated to go now is where the middle school had been. The Gates Middle School, which is First Parish.
Gates
right
campus,
now.
right.
Oh, okay, okay.
So not far and
Yeah.
it will work just.
Yeah, I think it'll probably work fine.
And also near enough to the library on Branch Street so that.
Perfect, yeah, and Central Housing.
So will you be building there?
We will be building somewhere on, at this point,
On that
the property of the Gates,
Good.
former Gates. But, you know,
Yeah, we're
obviously.
excited, but we can't make it happen as quickly as we'd like.
No, I know, you never can.
How has your ridership been in Scituate?
It's been good. I mean, and I think
Growing, steady?
Yeah, no, it's been growing.
We have good numbers.
Yeah. And you know, the North Situate really did make an impact. You know, we were kind of skeptical about expanding it because we don't run that much service to begin with. So,
Mhm.
but I think that people that have been using it, especially in North Situate, you know, feel that it's met their needs. So it's been helpful.
Awesome.
So it's been good.
Well, thank you, and really kudos for what you're doing for seniors, disabled, and the public now, of course, too, but like us, if we're trying to keep seniors independent as long as possible, the transportation services do help that. And also the transition of going from giving up the car, giving up the independence of maybe your own schedule to what we provide. We really try to make that transition as easy as possible and as seamless as possible, and I think you do too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we talked about that yesterday, actually, in our meeting in Boston, is that, you know, we've seen the demographic for the senior services has gotten very much older.
Yes.
You know, the younger seniors, the 70, 75, 80, they still drive them.
Right.
Yeah, and so now, you know, our council on aging populations that need transportation are 85, 90, 95. It's changed dramatically in that sense over the last probably decade. The people that are using those services are a lot older than what we originally started out to be. And that creates, you know, some other issues, but,
Yeah.
you know, there's been a lot of discussion that, you know, we should try to put, you know, some kind of chaperone or somebody to assist
yes.
people on and off
On and off
buses. And
the
so,
van.
I mean, I think that's, you know, some
That is a service.
level of discussion
Yeah.
that I think, you know, going forward,
For us
probably
too.
we're going to have to continue to think about, but
Agreed.
it's all to get people to
Mhm.
keep, to be independent.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if they need that extra hand holding, then, you know, somehow we've got to figure out a way to address that.
Well, and it's also, from a broader community perspective, I mean, there's some environmental benefits to taking cars off the road.
Oh, yeah.
So, less traffic, less pollution. You know, a kid at a high school football practice might be able to get a sloop home,
Oh, it's
as opposed to having mom or dad come pick him up at 5:30 or 6 o'clock or whenever practice is over, so.
It's an age-friendly
You-
service.
Right, that's what we
I
You
want.
take
have a
full-
real specific
it's-
interest
I
like
take
that.
full advantage of that.
Community benefit for, you know, all ages,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I think our biggest problem is, you know, we don't have a big marketing budget, so a lot of times we rely on
Mhm.
word of mouth.
Right.
Or just, you know, schedule information. I think that's one of our biggest issues, is that we just don't have a big
Yep.
marketing budget, so it's hard. You know, a lot of people say, what the hell, GATRA?
Exactly.
What's this,
Yep.
what's that? And, you know, we don't really have a big marketing budget.
Mhm.
It's hard. You know, these kind of
Sure.
of things help.
We could do better, and we could even have, be done, and Joanne has been done, we've done the
Yeah.
cards at the senior center, but we could do more of that. As it is, it's so easy for people to walk into the senior center, get a picture taken, have us electronically send that to GATRA, they get their card in the mail. But it's also sort of nice to see you on the premises and know the entity exists.
Yeah.
So we can work on
And I
that.
think that, you know, when you have to give up the car for whatever reason, a lot of that generation hasn't had public transit.
Right.
So they need to, we have a travel
Acclimate.
training program, so
Mhm.
travel training,
Mhm.
we'll do either group orientation kind of trips. She does individual training, you know, on awareness
I
and
just
how to
met her,
get,
yes.
use the bus. So I think that helps to
Yes.
get you over that fear of, you know, getting on the bus and getting lost somewhere.
Right.
And they have been
Charlie on the
participating.
MTA and never coming home.
Charlie.
Right.
Such things. So I mean, I think that all that helps, and I think we need to be, you know, GATRA needs to, you know, continue to push those kinds of
True.
programs to help people get over those.
You have a presence, and
No,
they
that's
were at the
great. That's great.
disability, the accessibility awareness fair that the Disability Commission had put on this year for the first time, and I did meet you trained there. Yeah, I think you're in the community, so
Yeah.
we'll try to do better at
I mean, it's a resource.
your face on the map out.
It's a resource that's available, but people need to learn how to use it in some cases. So the fact that you're offering, in effect, informational or training to get people to utilize this resource is wonderful.
Well, we, from the senior center, thank you, and I think the town of Scituate does too. I think it's really great. We're pleased with that. Look forward to it continuing and expanding and anything else we want to do.
No, it's great service for the town. We appreciate it.
We love that. Thanks for coming, thank you for coming, thank you for listening. Hopefully you thought it was valuable, and if you do have any questions about GATRA, about obviously any of the other services, please call the senior center, and we will see you.
Or schedules or questions or, right.
Okay, more to come. Thank you so much.